Hi, Charles here again. Talk to you about the inner journey. We're looking out my patio doors onto my backyard, and it's becoming really lush and green out there. We're in the end of May. A lot of people who have gardens are now planting seeds, and certainly our farmers are in that process of planting seeds. My family has their roots in gardening and farming. And about 100 years ago, maybe a little longer than that, the farmer would harvest in the fall, keep about 90% to live off of, and then save about 10% of his seeds, of his grain, of his corn, to plant next spring. And I'd like you to hold on to that thought of using right now our resources, but putting some aside, banking it, so to speak, for the future. We are living in very, very stressful times. Anxiety and the wars and weather and all sorts of things. I don't remember a time like this in my life. I was born in 1951. My parents lived in the Great Depression and World War II. They went through a lot. But for people like myself and those born after 1951, I think this is one of the most stressful times. We look at the world, the economy, and I see it so much in people I know and the relationships I have, that it's really hard on people. Would like to have a bank account for that inner life where we have been putting stuff in, and now we can draw on it because we really need some place to turn to for strength, for hope, for joy. And so I invite you to think about your spiritual practices, maybe just worship itself. We've sort of become a culture that is eating up that practice for right now. How was worship today? Was it exciting? Was it fulfilling? Did you leave saying, okay, now I am filled up and I'm ready to go? Well, that's great, and that's wonderful. But like the farmers of a few generations ago, maybe we also need to look at, let's say, worship, a spiritual practice, as a place we are banking something for the future. That it is not all there to give us a pop, an adrenaline rush right this moment. But there are some things maybe we just do to bank that spirituality, that strength, that resilience, so we can tap into it in the future. I think of three things. I think of one, in worship. It could be a time where we just stop our frantic pace. We just slow down. What a gift that is. When all about there's us, people are losing their head and blaming it on us, for us to be able to say, I know how to quiet my inner life. And that's a gift, I think, in worship, where we quiet ourselves down and are just present. I think a second gift of worship can be that we hear the story of God's love for us in Christ Jesus. We tell parts of that story throughout the entire year. We especially think about Christmas and Easter. And what a gift it is for the preacher to help us see how this is our story. Oh man, my little story, I can't quite figure it out. And who cares? Who's watching over me? But in worship I learn that my little story fits into God's big story, that God so loves the whole world, and I'm part of that. And the things I experienced, the disciples experienced. And there was soothing hope there because Christ was with them and Christ is with us. Thirdly, in worship, we run into other people who are just like us. How comforting it is for us to know that we're not alone in this, to receive the wisdom and encouragement that comes from others, And when we're giving the same to others, we are giving it to ourselves. So I'd invite you to think about that today. Worship that feeds you right now, that gives you this powerful spirit, is great. But think also like the farmer who banks some of his seed for the future. Look at how our spiritual practices like worship may not feel terribly exciting right now, but see how they give us the sense of being at peace, to stop the noise and the busyness, to see how our little stories all fit into the grand story, and to see that we're not walking alone. As I like to end each time I speak to you, we're all just walking each other home. Blessings on the harvest, and don't be afraid to put some away, not to be enjoyed right now, but to be stored for some future need of stress and anxiety. We're all just walking each other home. Blessings.